Good morning, good afternoon, welcome, hi to this session. I hope you can hear me well. And let me check here. Yeah, people joining, but I think it's 11 and therefore I would like to start. So again, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining this session, the Acronis CyberFit Academy Cloud Disaster Recovery webinar, or what a naming. Main topic today will be our cloud disaster recovery solution. First of all, before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Markus Bauer. I'm a technology evangelist in Acronis for now more than 6 years. I'm based in Munich, Germany, and I'm happy to drive you through this session today. In general, all your lines are on mute. If you have a question during the session, just use the chat. I have the chat window open, so send me a question. If it's fitting, I will answer it immediately. If not, I will take it and answer it a little bit later, but for sure, all of your questions will be answered. Nothing will be lost, even if the session will be closed. The chat is saved, so we can get in touch with you. I hope the sound and the audio is okay. You can see my screen. Maybe some of you can send me the information in the chat if audio is okay. I had some issues with my headset in the past, so hopefully today everything is fine. And perfect. Thanks for this. Oh yeah, one last point before we start. Okay, thanks for your feedback. Perfect. The session is recorded. We will share the link to the recording after the session. Maybe tomorrow, it depends how fast Zoom is processing, and then we need to put it in a nice thank you email. So expect it latest tomorrow. So you have the recording, you can rewatch it, you can share it with colleagues, whatever you want to do. Good. With this, oh, and I'm seeing already a typo on the next slide. Sorry, forgive me. It should be for sure topics. Yeah, I did it yesterday pretty late, so forgive me for this typo here. Anyway, what are we covering today? What is on my agenda? What do I want to share with you today? Shortly, an introduction about cyber protection of today. What is Acronis doing in regards of cyber protection? And then going to the main topic, why disaster recovery? Also checking a little bit what is the difference between backup and disaster recovery? Often people claiming, oh, I don't need disaster recovery, we have already backup. But is backup really disaster recovery? Then how everything is integrated in our cyber protection solution. And last but not least, I want to do a live demo and really create a disaster recovery machine doing failover and failback, so you really see how the solution is working. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate. Just send it to the chat. I'm always happy on your questions and try to answer everything. If I'm not able to answer, then at least I know who is, and I will send your message to the right person. So now it seems my external mouse is gone. Okay, let's use the touchpad instead. Starting with cyber protection of today. But what is cyber protection in general, and what is Cyber Protect Cloud? So cyber protection is a combination out of cyber security and data protection. But why? Maybe you ask yourself why. It's easy. You know us, hopefully. because we are well known out of this area as a backup company. Acronis was founded as a backup company. And we did this for many years. We started 2003 in Singapore, by the way. And we're really good in backup. But a few years ago, after some researches and also a changing world, we came up and said, backup alone is not working anymore. Backup for sure is still a must, but backup alone is not really protecting me. We need more. Interesting is that somebody from the security area, from a security vendor, he said the similar sentence on security. He said, cybersecurity, like we know it today, is not working alone. It needs more. And that's why we combined cyber protection, which is cybersecurity plus data protection. So what we did, more or less, we brought together two big topics. And out of this, we created one product, which is called Cyber Protect, which offering really cyber protection. Not only backup, not only security, even more like disaster recovery. And here is the slide, which is describing what you get with Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud. So in the middle, you see for sure we included our backup and recovery, full image, file level, as you are used to. But we also added disaster recovery to this. And also things like forensic backup, to have the possibility to do more in-depth analysis, doing investigation. Hey, we had a hacker attack. Hey, we had a ransomware attack, whatever. With forensic, you can analyze it. Plus, we added the next-gen cybersecurity, our AI-based behavior engine to detect all this malicious stuff, this malware attacks, this ransomware attacks, this 0 days, to prevent you from getting lost of everything, whatever it is, your data, your files, your machine, and so on. Plus, on the right side, we added enterprise protection management capabilities like URL filtering, vulnerability assessment, patch management, remote management. Especially URL filtering is something which is often not seen. Not sure how many of you have some solution. Mostly not, but if you trust statistics, every 10th web page is infected with malicious code. And this is a lot, because if you use, let's say, a well-known web page, there are many, many side loads in the backend. Maybe this is the newspaper in your country, and this newspaper has side loads in the backend. Advertisement from here, text from there, picture from there. And also, most ransomware, by the way, is still delivered through phishing. And there is this link, you click this link, and even in the mail, sometimes it's already the malicious part. So URL filtering is really helping you. But also vulnerability assessment and patch management is something which is not everybody is familiar with it. Not everybody has a solution in place, and often people don't do it. We have this, I say always, stupid phrase in Germany saying never touch a running system. As long as it's working, don't do anything. But to be honest, this is shit. You need to touch the running system, and you need to keep it updated and patched. The best example here is WannaCry. Everybody knows WannaCry. Most famous ransomware, I would say. We know which vulnerability is used from WannaCry, and even there is a patch available, but nevertheless, WannaCry is still encrypting thousands of machines every day worldwide because they are not patched. So we thought it might be a good idea to have vulnerability assessment and patch management also in the product. And now you see why we are saying backup alone is not working. It needs more. It needs cybersecurity, and it needs this management and protection aspect. And out of this, we formed Cyber Protect Cloud. And there is this slide. The US always talk about the igloo slide. I love to call it a protection shield. So what we try to do with Cyber Protect Cloud is creating a protection shield around your workload, whatever it is. And within this protection shield, you have different parts: security part, management part, backup part, and the disaster recovery part. And the nice thing about this solution is this is always, okay, we have some included features, and then you have some add-ons, and a lot of these features are pay as you go. So you pay really if you use it, for example, like disaster recovery. And based on this general protection shield, we can even hire it and make it bigger with so-called advanced packs. We have different advanced packs for different topics. Why we are offering these advanced packs? Because not every workload is the same, not every customer is the same. And I'm pretty sure you as a customer, you have also different workloads, like, hey, there is a laptop running in the home office. There is a laptop running in the office. There is a desktop in the office. There is a server in our data center. There is a server which contains our database and so on. So various workloads in one company. That's completely normal, which means also from a protection perspective, there also are differences, and you don't need all features on every system. So why should I pay always for everything? That's why we created the advanced pack. So you decide granularly per workload what is needed on my machine. Do I need advanced security on this machine? Do I need advanced management on that machine? Do I need advanced backup on my database server? And do I need advanced disaster recovery to this highly important system, like my CRM system, like my domain controller? These are systems I need to have it always on 24/7. We cannot have any downtime, because downtime means nobody can work, means we are losing money. Therefore, I'm adding the advanced disaster recovery pack to this machine and getting all the features we are offering with disaster recovery: protection and test failover, cloud only, site-to-site VPN connection, multiple templates for different types of failover failbacks, test possibilities, cyber protect, disaster recovery in general, and the runbooks. All of this I will cover in this session and try to do a live demo on it. So let's step a bit further and say, okay, disaster recovery, but what is disaster recovery? Often you think about complex stuff like this, because in our mind, it's still like this. Disaster recovery means I have a second data center, which means it's really expensive. I need to double my invest in hardware, in software, even in data center, and even in manpower, in admins. And I need also to maintain it. It's completely independent data center, so it needs to be also patched, updated, maintained, tested, and so on. And this is nothing for me because I'm a small customer. But this is not the truth anymore. Disaster recovery as a service is the key. The cloud is the key. We don't need, or you don't need, a second data center. We have this data center for you. So we are offering the resources out of our data center. We maintain your data center. And due to coming from the backup, we know exactly how to deal with backup. So with our disaster recovery, you don't even need an additional whatever appliance, replication, data copy, or. We have everything. As long as you are using our backup, you can create disaster recovery out of the backup, because we know how to do it. That's the big advantage. Easy, affordable. We just start more or less a virtual machine in our data center for you as a service. That's the as a service thinking. So forget about the second data center and seeing, okay, I don't need to invest in hardware, software, people, or whatever. I just need backups. Everyone, no matter how big a company is, can, first of all, afford it and can use it and should it. hopefully during this session, you see why it's important. And this is a good point. Why? Also here, often misunderstood. Why do I need disaster recovery? I talk to partners and customers and they say, oh, we are don't living in an area where we have floods or big thunderstorms or fire or whatever. And you see the right thing. Maybe I did it a bit too placative here, but yeah, things like in science fiction can happen. The meteor is crashing. No, these are not the reasons. These are reasons for sure, and they happen. We saw it in Germany last year with the flood. But this is not what really the most disaster recoveries are coming from. Where are the most disasters coming from? Unfortunately, the, how to say, famous PEPCAC or ID10T error. Do you know what it is? PEPCAC stands for problem exists between keyboard and chair. And ID10T, you see it from the writing, maybe you can imagine what does it mean. This is what happened. These are the real disasters. Most disasters are made by humans. Clicking the wrong button, installing the wrong software, taking out the wrong power cord, and so on. Most downtimes are done by humans. And this reminds me always about myself. If I'm in the office in Munich, I'm sitting together with our system engineers. And I have a colleague, I really like him. And every time I have an issue, I say, hey, can you help me? This and this happens. And he is always saying, the first thing, the problem exists between key and chairboard, which means, hey, you did something wrong. And tell you what, 80% is right. Often it's me, I'm doing something wrong. And there is a second thing I collected, what can happen. And you see also here, it's nearly the same. Most is done by humans. Clicking the delete button by mistake and deleting the wrong stuff, having the coffee. Who has ever put coffee on his keyboard of his notebook or laptop? I did it twice already. I remember I had a brand new Mac. It's a few years ago, and it was falling from the table because I kicked it by accident. It was broken. Also, phishing is somehow something which is done by human because you click on this email. That's why often company are offering this awareness training. Maybe in general, surfing through the web, going to the wrong page. And this also is still a valid point. Oh, there is a USB stick. Okay, let's check what is on there. And you have it. And then maybe the whole IT is down. Maybe your production environment is down. Reminds me on a lot of examples. In the past, Mondelez AG. Mondelez AG, maybe you know this company, they are producing Milka chocolate and other sweeties. They were down due to a malware attack. And how does it happen? Somebody put it in a USB stick because he wanted to run a diagnose on these robot things in the production street. And he had some malicious code on this stick and he infected the complete environment and they were not able to produce for weeks. These things happen and there are a lot of examples like this. And this is where you need something extra. You need to secure your environment, not only for data loss, not only for getting encryption, also for being online, because downtime means money at the end. There is a lot which can affect your environment. Natural disasters, I already talked about it. Here you see the number, only 6% of the outages are done by natural disasters. We have pandemics. Also, the COVID situation showed us how vulnerable we are. We need to rethink our IT. Hardware failures, software corruption often happen. I just had it on my demo environment. I prepared the demo for this session today, and there's one machine I tried to update and it failed, and now the machine is not coming up anymore. So I need to check what's going on. Unfortunately, exactly this is the machine I need for DR. So I will find something for this session today to show it with another machine. Accidental data deletion. It happened. 30%, 14% of data loss is caused by human error, like deleting. And for sure, I already mentioned cyber attacks. Cyber attacks is something we have to deal. And now categorize it. And you see this natural part is the smaller part. The big part is done by human. And this is something you need to secure your business. And a few numbers to prove here. 25% of data breaches in 2019 were caused by accidentally deleting or overwriting files and folders. So somebody clicked the wrong button. It always reminds me on an example where an admin by accident deleted in Microsoft 365 5,000 teams. It was a big company with a big environment. He deleted 5,000 teams. You can imagine what a mess. 51% of data breaches in 2019 were caused by criminal and malicious attacks. And by the way, we should update these numbers, yes, but it's easy because just hire them. Everything is higher in 2020, 21, 22. 70% of organizations are likely to suffer business disruption. And 93% of businesses experience attacks within the past 3 years. Often, by the way, people had an attack or even have an attack and they are not aware, because often they are happening in the background somehow. So, long story short, with all this knowledge, now we can ask, okay, who needs this disaster recovery as a service? Companies that maybe rely on mission critical application or subject to regulated compliance requirements, partners in stringent supply chains, located in disaster prone areas, lack technical resources, blah, blah. I just open everything because, to be honest, for me, everybody should have disaster recovery. Why? Because every company is depending on IT. Today, there is nothing without IT. And even at home, I'm depending on the IT. At the moment, I'm in my home office. So I'm depending on my IT infrastructure at home. If something happens, I cannot do this webinar. And my kids, they are the first complaining if the internet is down. So we are all depending. And if you're a small company, often people are telling me, yeah, we don't need disaster recovery. We are just a 3-man group and all good. Ah, okay. But you don't have a telephone service, you don't have an email service, you don't have web pages or whatever. Also, a small company is depending on IT, or maybe a craftsman. This is the second thing I often, people are telling me, yeah, craftsman, we are small, we're doing whatever. We don't need it. That's wrong. It reminds me on a good friend. He creates furniture. And you know what? He is drawing on a PC if there needs something to design. And then even the saw is controlled by IT. There is this drawing goes directly to the digital saw and so on. So this is nothing he's doing by hand anymore. Everything is IT. So everybody is depending, which means if it's not working, I miss something. He cannot produce furniture. If my email server is down, I cannot communicate with my customers. I cannot get an email from this customer sending me, don't know, the request for something. Hey, I want to order. I miss it. And people are impatient. This is just the side effect of the digital world. If you send a request to one company and the company is not answering in time, you go to the next. It's easy in the digital world. Again, you see how we are tied to this all digital and to this IT at the end. So we need to be online 24 hours. It's not only the web shop who needs to be online all the time. It's everything. Everything is based on IT. And the second aspect here, just to mention it, is regulations. There are various regulations where you need to have this plan B, which means you need to have backup and DR because it's by law. And said this, what is really the difference between backup and disaster recovery? People are often telling me, oh, and I see it's not translated here, sorry. On the right side, it means recovery during an issue. Sorry for this. So left, you see backup. And people are always saying, I have backup, I'm fine. If something happened, I just recover. Yeah, that's good. And backup is a must. I'm always saying no backup, no mercy. But backup is dealing with your data. So backup is more or less like a replication of your data. So it's protecting your data. But what is with your infrastructure? If you don't have an infrastructure, you cannot recover because you have no infrastructure to recover on. So that's the big difference. On top of backup, disaster recovery is securing your infrastructure. And with our solution, we secure it out of our cloud data center. So you don't need to maintain it. You can just consume it, use it. And here is a table which should be hidden because it's in German. Sorry. As said, it was pretty late yesterday evening. And how is it working? How is the disaster recovery structured? What are we offering? It looks complex in the first view, but it's pretty easy. On the bottom, you see your environment. You have your workloads, whatever it is. You have hypervisors, maybe Hyper-V. You have VMware. You have virtual machines. You have physical servers with Windows, with Linux, whatever. And you do regular backups of these machines because you have to. So now we have your backups in our data center. On our cloud storage, there is your backup file. And if you now add on the disaster recovery advanced pack, we give you the possibility to create virtual networks and use on-demand compute. So in case of a disaster recovery, we are taking your backup and booting up your backup file as a virtual machine and attach it to your virtual network, which means you can access this machine from your network. There are different ways to connect. Mostly what people are using is VPN. We are offering different ways of VPN. We have point-to-point, point-to-site, and IPsec. It's up to you. Why VPN? Because it's an easy way and it's a secure way. In the live demo, you will see how easy it is to deploy a VPN solution. We are offering a complete out-of-the-box VPN appliance to connect to the data center. Everything is controlled on one management console. That's the beauty, because it's not an additional product. Our disaster recovery is an add-on to CyberProtect. It's included in CyberProtect. Again, here, in regards of maintaining DR, you don't need to learn something as an admin. If you know our console, if you can work with our console, you can also create DR easily. There is no separate GUI or whatever. It's implemented. Integration, or often also named as single pane of glass. You have one login, and from there you manage everything, no matter if it's the backup, the disaster recovery, the ransomware, or whatever. On top, what we are offering with our disaster recovery is so-called runbooks. What is a runbook and what does it mean and how can it help you? Runbooks are like an emergency plan. Let's say, okay, we have a fire alarm. What should we do? Okay, leave your place, go out, meet there, and so on and so forth. So all this is normally well documented. And you should have the same for your IT. What's happened if this machine is down? Because if you have a written plan and you test it regularly, you are prepared if something really happened. Often people are struggling because, oh, our exchange is down. Oh God, what should we do? And then they get confused, they get stressed and so on. If you have your plan, and if you are trained on this plan, which means you tested this plan already, it's easy. Okay, exchange is down. Step 1, what to do. Step 2, what to do. Step 3, and so on and so forth. And this is exactly what you can do with a runbook. You write this emergency plan. And in the plan, you decide what the system should do, which means, let's stay at the example with the Exchange server. The Exchange server is down. I have my emergency plan, my disaster recovery plan to be exact. And I just execute it, saying, okay, Exchange down, let's start the DR plan. And it's one click, and I start this runbook. And in the runbook, it's already defined what to do. Maybe shut down here a system, start the Exchange in the disaster recovery cloud, reconfigure the network or whatever. Everything is pre-created and you just need to execute. So it's one click. I don't need to be stressed. I don't need to think about it because we did it and now we execute it. And from the design, you will see in the demo, it's drag and drop. It's pretty easy. You can also test it. There is always a possibility to test, not only test the plan, really test DR, which is, by the way, something what is really important. It should be tested. Like I know in my small town, I'm living a little bit out of Munich, and every first Saturday in the month, they are testing the fire alarm to make sure if really something happened, it's working. And also people are aware about this. Oh, this is the fire alarm. Okay, I know this sound. And this should be the same with your IT and your disaster recovery. Test it on a regular basis. And you can do it with our solution. Without interfering, without doing something, we have a special test mode. So you can even do it during work time. You can boot up the complete infrastructure in our disaster recovery environment. You can access it without interfering your real machines. And then for sure, execute it with a few clicks I already mentioned and monitor it. Also, this is important. I need to monitor what's going on. So let's recap a little bit here. With our services, we are offering data protection, backup and restore. This is where we are coming from. But now, out of this single interface, we have also cybersecurity. which means we protect you from malware attacks, and yeah, we cannot protect you, but we showing you vulnerabilities in your environment. And even on this, we can patch it. We have tools like URL filtering, remote access, and so on, plus disaster recovery. And this is a real cyber protect solution. Seeing all aspects of attacks. Remember, I showed you why with the natural disaster and then coming to the human issues with a lot of examples. We try to protect you in all of these directions. And everything out of, as said, one product, one console. You have one agent on your machine for disaster recovery or also for ransomware protection or malware protection, by the way. You don't need anything additional, just one agent deployed on a machine. You create one security policy in your environment. Okay, to be honest, maybe it's not only one, because maybe you have 2 or 3, because you have various types of machines. So maybe there's a policy for home workers, there's a policy for workers in the office. But you have one user interface. You are buying one license from one vendor. Also in regards of support, really helpful. And coming to this one policy, one protection plan, you will see in the live demo, especially with disaster recovery, this is just, without making it small, just a feature in a protection plan. You see the screenshot here from a protection plan. A protection plan includes all the features we are offering, starting with backup, adding disaster recovery, antivirus, anti-malware protection, URL filtering. So you decide in the plan which feature set you want to use. It's just one plan. Again, one product, one console, one plan, one agent on a machine. So absolutely easy to deploy and absolutely easy to manage. You, in your company, you don't need to learn different tools. And hand to your heart, how many tools are you using at the moment to do? You see it here on the list: backup, disaster recovery, malware protection, URL filtering, vulnerability assessment, patch management, and device control. How many tools? We ask people, and you can even search in the web about this. In average, companies are using 8 tools. 8 tools on one machine to do cyber protection. Really? We can, and we are offering just one tool for everything. And this has a big advantage. If you have 8 different tools, or maybe 5 different tools, I'm always saying these are like islands. I have the island for backup. I have the island for malware protection. I have the island for this and that. Really good. Every island is brilliant. Nice, with palms, sunny. There is somebody bringing you the cocktail all the time. So it's nearly perfect. But it's still an island, which means between these islands, there is water. And this is what the pirates are using and get you. And now taking this picture to IT. All your tools are perfect in what they are doing, but between the tools, there are gaps. And these are the gaps which are used by the bad actors, which are used for getting your malware on the machine, getting your ransomware and encrypted data, or bringing you down or whatever. With an integrated combined solution like CyberProtect, there is no water because it's not an island. It's an integrated combined machine. One agent to do everything. So there is no gap which can be used. That's the big advantage of an integrated solution. And with this, I would love to jump to the live demo. The only thing I want to do, give me a second. I need to check my external Bluetooth mouse. It's blinking, so battery should be fine, but it's not working, unfortunately. So let's stop this presentation here for a second and going to the web browser and connect to the system so you can see really how is it working. So what I now do, I will log in to the environment as a customer. And MB customer, I have a few logins you can see. So I'm taking this one. It's my big environment to do testings and play around. Hopefully my machine, checking on another machine here. Give me a second to check if it's already open and still booting. Anyway, so first of all, what you see here, just a side note, but really important, two-factor. I have this machine as a trusted machine. So this browser is a trusted browser. So therefore, it's just saying, hey, you have two-factor, but we locked you on because this is a trusted browser. Two-factor is a must. You need to have solutions with two-factor. If a solution has no two-factor, in my eyes, this is not the right solution for me, because passwords are not safe. Passwords are leaked. Often they are easy to figure out and so on. So therefore, two-factor is a must. For sure, we have it. Clicking OK now, because I am the main admin, I have different things. I have also all our services available, but today we want to focus about cyber protection and DR. So therefore, I'm now logged into the service console of Cyber Protect. And in this console, in this environment, I have a few machines which are deployed by an agent. There is this laptop I'm right now on. There is my Mac I'm normally using on. Let's go to devices. I have a few virtual machines and so on. You see there is a good list of machines which are protected. I'm also protecting a virtual exchange server, SQL server. I have Microsoft 365. So everything we are offering in regards of protection, but this shouldn't be the topic for today. Topic is disaster recovery. So how can I get disaster recovery? How can I secure a workload? So maybe just click on a machine like this SQL server, and then you see on the right side the action menu, disaster recovery. And I can click on disaster recovery. And then you see in this case, there is already something. Let's take another machine. In this case, it's a Windows 10. Normally, I do not need to secure a workstation, but just to show you. So this is a machine. There is no disaster recovery so far. So therefore, the system is saying, hey, this is a machine where there is no disaster recovery. Do you want to create one? And now I can start and create this disaster recovery server for this machine. So I'm clicking create recovery server. And then I need to select what resources do you need. Depending how powerful this machine should be at the end, I can add virtual CPUs and virtual RAM. For sure, the more resources, the more cost at the end. The cost, by the way, is done in so-called compute points. You see, costs per hour, compute points. So a machine, let's say like this, which has 4 virtual CPUs and 16 gig RAM, produces 8 compute points per hour. 1 compute points equals whatever cent. And this is the calculation I can do at the end, saying, okay, disaster recovery would cost me something. So you see, disaster recovery is costing when you use it. Because if the machine is not running, it's not producing compute points, so I don't have to pay. And yes, it's saying cost per hour, 8 compute points, but the reporting is done minute-wise. So if the machine is running, for example, only 5 minutes, what we are doing, we calculate 8 points per hour, which means 60 minutes divided through 60 multiplied by 5. So you end up with 5 minutes payment. So it's really by minute. If a machine is running 5 minutes, we charge 5 minutes. If a machine is running 2 days, we charge 2 days, so 48 hours. So let's select 4 CPUs, 16 gig RAM. Then I need a network. Because in my demo environment, I'm already using it. I have 2 different networks. So now I can choose my network. In this case, this is the same I'm using in our demo environment. Then if needed, you can provide this MAC address. Maybe you want to use the same MAC address as in your production system. And then you add an IP address to this machine. Maybe you want to add the same ARM. But then you might up with trouble testing this machine. Therefore, you can also apply a test IP, which means I already said I can always run and should run tests. So in this case, when I test the machine, it has this IP, not interfering my normal network. Then you can grant internet access to this machine. You can add a public IP address, which means this machine is reachable from the outside world through this public IP. This is infected with extra costs because we also need to buy this IP address. And you can set up an RPO threshold. RPO means recovery point objective, which describes more or less the maximum data loss you can have in between 2 backups. Let's say backup is from last night and now I have an issue. So everything what is produced in between from data is gone, cannot be recovered because it's not in the backup. And therefore you can decide, say, yeah, I can afford a maximum data loss of, don't know, 2 hours. So I'm setting this threshold. So what the system will do, you will see it when the machine is ready. It will drop me a warning if my backup is older than 2 hours. Then the name and the description optional. Also what we are offering, some firewall rules. You can set up firewall rules for this particular machine. You should do this, especially if you use the public IP address to avoid that somebody is breaching into your machine. And that's it. From there, I click create. And a few seconds later, my machine is ready. Why is it that fast with few seconds? Because in general, nothing really happened so far. Now my machine is secured. Now DR is available for this machine. But why is it that fast? Why can I create a disaster recovery and secure my environment within seconds? Because more or less nothing really happened so far. The only thing what's happened, we're telling the management server, we want to have DR for this machine, this CPU, this RAM, and we are reserving these resources and IP addresses. But we didn't create the virtual machine so far. The virtual machine will be created when I initiate the failover or the test failover. Therefore, it's really a task of seconds. The other possibilities to create a disaster recovery machine is you can do it directly in a plan. Let me see if I can do it here. In the protection plan, you saw it on the screenshot, I'm able to turn on disaster recovery as well. So this is also a virtual Windows 10 machine. And now I can if I can see the plan, something. My internet connection is a bit lousy at the moment, it looks like. Come on. Hello, hello, wake up, dear internet. Okay, maybe let's take another machine. Let's go back here, take my laptop, clicking protect and see if this is working. Yeah, here we go. So this is the protection plan, which is tied to my laptop I'm currently working on. And now I hate this touchpad. That's why I'm using this external Bluetooth mouse. Let's add this plan and you will see there is a possibility for, come on, whoops, what's going on now? Oh, is the mouse reacting? No, oh, strange. Minimize backup. Sorry, I cannot do it like this. I need to add a new one because this is encrypted plan. Sorry, me stupid. Sorry for this. Create a new protection plan and hopefully then it should work. And I can add disaster recovery to this machine. Even worse, I'm doing totally wrong. They changed, it's interesting. Disaster recovery was always for years below backup. And we did a new update last week. I was in our office in Bulgaria, therefore I had no chance to test it before. And now it's the last point, whatever reason. Anyway, but you see, I can just turn it on here in the plan and everything is in auto mode. So with this plan, if I would store now this plan on my machine, I create backup and disaster recovery. So I don't need to take care about anything. Everything is an auto config. So we will create an auto, how to say, we add the needed resources based on the origin machine, and we add the needed virtual network infrastructure to make this happen. So even here, I don't need to be an expert. I just need to turn it on. Our purpose always in the solution is to make it as easy as possible. And then apply this plan, run the plan, and I'm good to go. Then I securing my workstation, which makes no real sense because normally a workstation, I don't need disaster recovery on a Dell laptop like mine. Good, now I created these machines, but how can I manage this machine? How can I find the machines? And how can I create the runbooks? How can I access the machines? For sure, in our main menu, there is a button for disaster recovery. And if I go to disaster recovery, I will see my servers. And here are my servers. And this is the server I just created, the Windows 10 machine. You see, it's in standby and it's critical. And this is exactly this RPO threshold I set it up. It's saying, hey, you're not compliant with your RPO threshold because your threshold is 2 hours and your backup is older than 2 hours. And now what I can do, I can initiate a failover. So on this new machine now, I can click, come on, this touchpad is really strange. I can create a failover. And now something happened. What is the system telling me? Hey, you want to do a server failover? Fine. Do you want to test it, or do you have really an issue and you want to do it production? This is the first answer I have to answer. Then you see there is a big information. There is no suitable recovery points for this failover. What does it mean? When you create a disaster recovery machine, which has already backups in place, we cannot use it. Which means to use disaster recovery now for this Windows 10 machine, I need to run at least one backup to have a suitable backup to recover. That's what this information is telling me. So what I can do now, I can run a manual backup job here, just start backup, and then I have a backup. For sure, I did it already. So here is another machine. This is a Hyper-V server running in my demo environment. You see, I have 19 hours of actual RPO, and my threshold is 1 day, so 24 hours. So in this case, it's compliant. I see the summary, 4 CPU, 60 gig RAM, IP, and so on. And now I'm clicking failover. And here you see I have backup points. They are suitable. And now I can decide, what do I want to do? Test failover or production failover? And I can select the backup point. I can even go back in time, but normally for disaster recovery reasons, you take the last recent. And here is something, again, a nice side note, and this is unique to Acronis, and this is only available due to the fact we have the combination of cybersecurity and data protection. We are scanning your backups against malware. And here you see no malware found. Why is this important? So there are two good, valid reasons to do this. So first of all, in a normal scenario with a normal traditional backup solution, if you have a malicious code on a machine, whatever it is, let's say ransomware, you run a backup job, this ransomware or this malware, whatever it is in your backup. Is it an issue? Not in this point of time, but will it be an issue? Definitely yes, at least when you use it for recovery, because then you always bring back this malware, which means you have a reoccurring infection. With our solution, we test your backups, and then you get an information say, hey, we found some malware in. And seeing this information is one thing, or knowing is one thing. But we can even clean up a backup during the recovery process. This is only doable because we have this integrated solution. We do both in one product. And this is absolutely unique. So with our solution, you can make sure that you always recover clean data. And therefore, we have this information. And now let's start this server in test failover. So I'm clicking start, and now the real work is getting done. So now what we are doing, we're creating a virtual machine with the configuration I took. And we boot up this virtual machine out of the backup file I selected. And this takes a few, let's say, minutes here. It's depending on the size of the machine, for sure, can take up to maybe 3-4 minutes, but even 5 minutes. Hey, first of all, this is a test now, but in a real disaster also, 5 minutes is not crucial compared to, oh, I need to exchange hardware, I need to run a recovery. We are talking about days. I did this already with 2 machines here. You see, this Windows 2016 server is already in test failover. So let's click here, and you see it offers me stop testing because it's in test failover. This machine now produces compute points, by the way, and costs me something because it's running. The Windows 10 machine here, it's in standby, so it doesn't consume compute points. It doesn't cost me anything. So let's go back to this Windows 260. What I can do now, I can click console and log into this virtual machine running in our data center, running in the disaster recovery data center, depending which data center you are. In my case, it's EU2, which means I'm, because I'm based in Germany, I'm using the Frankfurt data center. So now I can access this machine in our data center without any additional tool. Oops, what's happened? Oh, did I close the tab by mistake? Don't know. So let's reopen it. Strange. But I think this PC needs definitely a reboot. So let's see. Hopefully I have the right. Come on. Why is it always right? Strange. Maybe do I click the wrong button? Okay, give it another try. If it's then again failing, then something different is going on. So forgive me, but this is a live demo. Things like this can happen. Okay, now it's working. I think. Is it my keyboard? Do I push the string button by accident? Okay, let's try another machine. Maybe this is working here. Here's another one, which is my SQL server, and you see this is in failover mode. So this is in a real production failover mode. So it's not test, so I cannot cancel test, but I can cancel failover, and I have the possibility to initiate the recovery. And you see some few more buttons over there. I will explain it in a second. Let's see here if the console is working. And if I can log in from there. Sending, Control Alt Delete. Try to type. Okay. Don't know if it's my browser, if it's maybe also could be an issue in our system at the moment. Maybe there's some maintenance going on. I don't know. Anyway, as said, this is live. Just giving you per voice what's happened. It's pretty easy. Clicking the console, you saw it, launch a new tab, and then I can log into this machine and I can test something. And this should be done on a frequently basis. You should test your machine. So bring them in test failover like this. Check if the machine is really booting up. You can see everything here in the activities, running test failover, succeeded. So you see the different steps, and you can use the console to log in and check if it's working without interfering. You should do this. In a real failover mode, normally you don't log into console. You are working with this machine, so your clients are connecting to this SQL server at the moment. But then there is the point in time where I say, okay, disaster gone, we fixed the issue. Now we want to bring back this machine to our environment. And failback is something which is not trivial. And normally with failback, there is also some downtime, which is normal. But this is something which doesn't happen unplanned. A failback is planned. You plan when you want to failback. But nevertheless, we thought, how can we avoid downtime? How can we bring the failback to a mechanism or to a way to avoid any downtime? And we found a way to minimize the downtime really to seconds. What we are doing in case of a failback, and now let's do it. We are using a virtual machine in the customer environment. So the customer should have something available. We support VMware and Hyper-V. In my case, I selected my Hyper-V host. There is an agent on a machine which is in charge of this virtual environment. This is, in my case, this machine. I set up the target machine, the data store, provisioning mode, and the name. And now what I can do, I can click Start Data Transfer. Yes, I will do it. So what's happened? We keep the disaster recovery machine up and running. So this SQL recovery is still up and running. People can work. We create a virtual machine in the customer environment on this host, and we start to transfer data. So you see the progress started, 0 bytes of 29.5 gigabyte. So during having this machine online, we already start to copy more or less data from this DR machine to the customer machine. And you can imagine the more data is copied, the lower the downtime. Therefore, we have this downtime estimation. And when the process started, you see it will start with, I think it starts with a few days, and then it's going immediately down to hours and then to minutes. And you see also what we suggest is to reduce downtime, start the switchover at least at 90% of data transfer. And then click the switch over button. What does it mean? If I click switch over, means we shut down the machine in the disaster recovery data center, and we copy the last few megabytes. And this is the downtime you need to calculate. So the further this process is, maybe not 90%, maybe even 95 or maybe 99%, the less downtime you have. You can really wait until the process is at 99% and then click the switch over button, which means just a few seconds. Closing down the virtual machine in our disaster recovery, copy, 10 megabytes, which is like a fingertip, and then starting the virtual machine and make it available in the customer environment. So the payback has really only a few seconds of downtime. That's the beauty of using virtual environments. In this case, now I will cancel it to have it ready for the next demo. Then really shortly about connectivity, because I have set it up. I already mentioned we have a few things we are offering. One is site-to-site, point-to-site, and IPsec. In my case, I'm using our virtual appliance. You see here I have on my local site a VPN appliance. This is a virtual machine. And here is the VPN gateway in our disaster recovery cloud. I can even add another network. I have 2 networks added here. This is the one I just used for the demo. And here's the second one. I can add up to 5 networks in total. Here is some information. You can reinstall the gateway if something is wrong. You can download the log. You see the same on the VPN appliance side. But how do I get this? We are offering, as said, the VPN appliance as a virtual machine. So I can download either a template for VMware or a template for Hyper-V. And with this, you can create it everywhere. I tested it even on Oracle Virtual Machine. You can do it on Hyper-V, this workstation version, everything. Just download it, deploy it. It's pretty easy. Log in, admin, and then connect it to your account in the cloud, and then this connection is established. Pretty easy. If you want to use IPsec with your own appliance, whatever, for sure, we are offering this. You can do it in the initial process, or now if I decide I want to switch, I can do it here as well. 2 things. First of all, why VPN? Because it's a secure connection. Keep in mind, we are starting your workload here in our data center, so it should be available in your network, and this is done by VPN. Fine. But what if I face a complete outage? Let's say power outage in my data center. This means also the VPN appliance is gone because it has no power, which means I cannot access the DR machine. Therefore, we also have the point-to-site. So you can download a configuration file for OpenVPN. Just click here, and then it will download a file which is already pre-deployed with all the needed information. You can open it. If you have, like I do, OpenVPN already installed, it will start OpenVPN, hopefully. Is it already started? It's coming. Here we go. Let me move it to the second screen. Here we go. I have OpenVPN already. So it's asking, do you want to import this profile? You say yes. Here it's pre-deployed. Now I can enter my username, customer CP in this case. I can even save my password, and I can click connect, and then I can add it, and that's it. Now I have this profile in. And then I can connect with my PC directly to the DR machine. So even if the complete data center is down, no VPN appliance, I still have the possibility from my laptop from home accessing the disaster recovery machine. So I'm still able to connect to the SQL, to the CRM, to the Exchange or whatever. Let me delete this immediately, so I forgot. Otherwise, let's see. I'm not sure if, oh, what is, good question. I'm not sure about this password, to be honest. Let's see if it's working. Two-factor, I need the two-factor. Hopefully this is the right one. I cannot guarantee that this will work, but let's see. I'm not sure if this is the real account for it or if I'm using another one. But in general, I think you know how VPN solutions are working. So normally now there should be a connection established, and I'm able to connect to the DR environment without any appliance. And you can use both. You see, I have turned on both. So I can have site-to-site and in addition point-to-site, which means for home workers, for example, they don't need to connect through VPN to the company, and then from there with the VPN appliance to the DR, you can directly connect. It doesn't seem to work. Yep. So this is doable. And last but not least, runbooks. You see, I have already one created called emergency plan. So let's create one from scratch to see how it's working. I can add steps, and in the steps, I can add actions like doing a failover to a server. Then for sure, I need to select the server. I can add another action, maybe failback. I'm just clicking something. Then I want to have an additional step saying I want to start this server. I want to stop, don't know, this server. Add action, manual, and blah, blah, blah. I can even add another runbook. Step 4, execute another runbook. Emergency plan, and so on, and then save. And then my runbook, my plan is stored. Close. And now it should be in the list. Yeah, here we go, new runbook. And now I can select this and I can execute it. Execute, and now this runbook is asking me, hey, do you want to have a test failover or a production? Or no, I'm not allowed to say test failover because it can be also failback. So do you want to execute it as a test, or do you face a disaster and you want to execute it in production? And second question, what recovery point? Normally the most recent, and then start. So when I have a runbook created upfront, I can initiate a failover really with one click, no matter how big my environment is. If I have a failover with 10 server or 1000 servers or machines, there is no difference. It's just this one click start, because everything is already predefined in the runbook. And then I can execute it. For sure, I can work with these runbooks. You saw I can clone it, edit it, delete it, whatever. In this case, I'm deleting it to clean up. Here is, let me see the plan I have already. You see, I can edit it. And also there is the log. In this case, it's never executed, so there is no data. This is the runbook. Really, really useful, and you definitely should use them. And there is something in addition, which is, I wouldn't say a complete different topic, but something which you should consider separate. We call it primary server. You see over there below disaster recovery servers, we always talked about recovery so far, but there's a button called primary. What is a primary? A primary server can be created independent from your environment, independent from a backup. I can click create, and then I just create. It looks similar to a DR machine, but there is a difference because now I'm selecting operating system. So now I can select, okay, I want to have a Windows 2019 machine. This machine should have 8 CPU cores and 32 gig of RAM. I want to have a 100 gig disk and maybe another 100 gig. I can configure my network, again, internet access, public IP, RPO threshold makes no real sense on this machine, and I name it test and create. So what we are now doing, we're creating just in explanation mark, just a virtual machine independent from any backup or from any of your machines. This is a virtual machine running in our data center. It's similar to creating a machine in Azure or Google or whatever environment. It's a real virtual machine just sitting there and running. I did this already. I created one, and let's try again. Maybe this time it's working. I can connect to this machine through the console. Oh, this trackpad is not doing what I want to. Oh, what is the login here? No, shit. Too many passwords. Okay. Did I change it? Oh, sorry for this, but you see, at least it's working because it's saying you have the wrong. Okay, I changed it. I changed it to my default password. So now I'm logged into this machine. It's just a Windows server. There's nothing installed. It's just for demo purposes. And this machine is completely independent from any backup. What is the idea of this machine? And you see, I already named it SQL AIG Node 2. The idea is to create a cluster system with only one node. So maybe I want to have my SQL system always on, but I have only one hardware box or maybe one VM, and I have no possibility to run a second node, because a second node makes only sense if it is on a second data center. It should be somewhere else, because if you create a always on group on the same host, virtual or on two physical boxes side by side, it makes no real sense, because in case of fire, power outage or whatever, it doesn't help me. So therefore the idea is having one node in your data center, having the second node in our data center. And if your node is failing, our node in the DR data center is taking over. That's the idea. You can do it with Exchange. Exchange has this, and there are a lot of solution which offers this kind of software cluster system, this always on groups or whatever the vendor is naming it. Therefore, we have this primary, but you can also use it to test something. Maybe I just need a virtual machine. I want to shortly test something. You can use it. Or maybe you need a powerful machine because a project is upcoming, you need additional resources, you don't have it. Instead of buying it, you can use it from there. You don't need to invest in expensive Azure or Amazon or Google, or you can do it from there. So that's the purpose of our machines here. Again, if the machine is powered off, like I do now, it's not consuming compute points, it's not costing you. Only if the machine is up and running. And this is something, if you want to create a cluster, you need to calculate. Because if this is the second node of an SQL AHE environment, then it needs to be up and running all the time. So in this case, it will consume 8 compute points per hour, which means on a day, this and that compute points, and you can calculate per month, this machine will cost me whatever. So therefore you can calculate, is it worth the money? Yes or no, makes it sense. And trust me, we did calculation, it's always cheaper than running it by itself. So now I'm deleting this machine, and I will do the same here with this Windows 10 machine, delete to clean up. And also bring this machine back from testing. This is the machine I clicked the test button just 20 minutes ago, and now I see, yeah, everything fine. Let's stop the test. And then you will see the state is going into standby, and then it's not consuming any compute points anymore. Maybe I do the same here to not consume too much, because my colleagues will not like me if I produce so much costs here. And that's more or less the disaster recovery part. Yes, it took a while now to explain, but I gave you a lot of background information, but in general, it's pretty easy. I think from the live demo, you got it, it's pretty easy. You have your device, you create a backup, you create a disaster recovery machine within a few seconds by clicking a few buttons, and then you are protected. And it's like an insurance. So you have it in mind. If something happened, we have it. And the good thing is, the machine is there and more or less just waiting. So it's not producing compute points. It's not ruining all my budget. But as said, it's like the insurance. If we need it, then we are really, really happy to have this information ready. Okay. Oh, somebody sent me an email. I got in the chat, I sent you a list of questions. Oh, already a list of questions. Okay. Got it. I see my email. Yeah, I have it. Okay, that's a general questions about CyberProtect. Okay, got it. Will answer you by email, but please give me a while. Anything else? Any other questions at the moment, guys? There is, the Q&A is open. Acronis has own data disaster recovery center, or is it using Amazon Azure resources? No, this is our own data center. When we talk about our cloud, it's really our cloud. So we have data center. To be honest, I stopped counting. I think we have more than 50 at the moment worldwide. Our aim for this year is to have 120, because we want to have, in any country we are doing business, we want to have our own data center. This has two big reasons. One is locally it's always faster. If I'm using a local data center, it's always faster. And second, has legal aspects. In a lot of countries, to be compliant, to be legal, you need to have the data in the country. Therefore, we're offering data centers in every country. And yes, these are our this is our hardware. We are not using anything else. Good. I cannot see any additional questions. Oh, there is one popping up. Is there compute points cost calculator? It's a good point. I remember I saw an Excel, but at the moment, I have to say I'm not 100% sure if it was internal or external. Please do me a favor, check the partner portal. In the partner portal, I know there's a calculator for the cloud storage in regards of backup, and there should be also the calculator for DR. If not, you can ping me, or better, pinging Acronis resource in your country to help you on this, because I know we have something. Maybe it's not public, but I know we have something. Good. If there is no question, I like to thank you. Thank you for being patient for me for 1.5 hours. I know it's a long time, but with the live demo, it always takes a while. So thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you get 1, 2, 3 points out of it to consider. We are always here to help. We are offering always a free of charge trial. Go to our webpage, sign up for the trial. You can test everything, including disaster recovery. So feel free to play around. It's always the best to test it by yourself. Create a DR machine, do a backup of a machine, and start it up. If you need help, we are always happy to help. We have resources all over the world. Also SE-wise, so if you have technical issues during a trial, don't hesitate to ping us. We are always happy to help you on this, because it shouldn't be the case like, oh, the trial didn't work, stupid product. No, we are supporting you even without being a customer. And yeah, talk to our partners as well. They are also able to support you in this. So again, thanks you for joining today, and hope to see you soon in one of the upcoming sessions. Stay tuned. Thanks and bye-bye.